doing very well around their initiation and being very coordinated around that. That hasn't been seen recently.
Now, I will just say, I always bring this back to the table when you talk about Ultra Prime. They are 1-8 on blue side. Luckily, they don't have to worry about that here in week number 9, as right now they'll be on red side for game number 1. So, whew, dodged the bullet right there. RA over on blue side this time around, though. Sejuani and Lee Sin banned away, so some focus towards Ning. And that Renekton and Jace, some flexibility, but also solo lane focus for Ultra Prime.
Well, funny you mentioned the side choice as well, because Rare Atom are actually much more successful on blue side as well. So both of these teams, if this does go to 3 games, we might see 3 games of the same side select, which we don't see quite as commonly in the LPL. But yes, that's Sejuani being taken away from Ning, obviously very important. Noted that one as one of the most important champions for Ning. That is a first pick Viego for Leander. I mean, has some early kill potential in a lot of lanes. We used to see the Viego-Lee Sin matchup an awful lot, but the Lee Sin is banned currently. That was taken away as well. So maybe this is just Rare Atom and Leander saying, okay, Ning needs one of these 2 early aggressive junglers in the Sejuani and the Lee Sin to contend with something like Leander's Viego. What else have you got in pocket? That is a very bold first pick jungle.
Bold first pick, but not so bold. Maybe a little bit mild, at least for Ultra Prime, when they lock in the Aphelios. A tried and true pick for Doggo, something he made his name on when he got to sub in for PSG Challenge at Worlds back in history, but something that he needs to find a lot of carry potential on. It is the Annie, though, with some flexibility for Ultra Prime.
It is Doggo's most played champion, 42nd game at Aphelios now, with that one locked in. The Annie is a flex pick between mid lane and support. You have given Tube his Jax, though. I cannot tell you how many times Jax has been banned away from Rare Atom. I think it's been banned away from them 83% of their games. And in the LPL, you play so many games, that is the grand majority of them.
But
in fact, I would almost say that every game that Jax wasn't banned, it was either played against them or for Keep Yourself. On the other side, though, this is very important. This is something that I was talking about a little bit in regards to Ale on the side of EDG. One of the reasons that EDG looks so good right now is that they have a top laner that can look at your enemy top laner's blind picks and really start to punish them. Jax is a pick which felt a little bit uncounterable for a lot of spring in the LPL. Globally, not always the case. I think in the LPL, we have a lot of very proficient Jax players, and the meta in this region also supports the champion being very strong, particularly with the amount of melee picks we see locked in. As you can see from Rare Atom, they've picked in 3 melee picks already. Jax loves those kind of compositions, and if you answer fire with that, it tends to go very well. This is why this adaptation is very important. Harry picking up that cannon allows you to have a lane counter and also allows you to punish some of that diving threat of the Viego and the Jax. That slicing Maelstrom on top of just sitting in your stopwatch can really stop a lot of what Rare Atom have on the table, at least from those 2 picks. The Gragas, a little bit more fortunate if that was locked in.
Yeah, and I think that does provide them a lot of that spacing in teamfights as well, but we see full bottom lane focus from both sides here in the second phase. Ultra Prime ban away assumes Lucian and that Draven, and we also see the Lulu and the Renata banned away by RA. 2 of the final picks are going to be here for both sides. We have the counter pick available for Ultra Prime. This Jarvan has been something that Ultra Prime have gone to, but it's the Wukong instead, second most played for Ning.
And that is still gives you a bit of that early dueling potential. Viego, Wukong both have ways to outplay each other if they were to meet up in 2v2s or 1v1s across the map. Speaking of those 2v2s and 1v1s, this Annie could be in a 2v2 either in bot lane with the Aphelios, one of the better lane pairings with that champion. The Molten Shield gives Aphelios the speed up and the extra ability to just kind of brawl it out with the extra shield on top of it. But also, you can go into the mid lane as well. If this is going to be Zyra Khan, I wonder if you just shove that into the mid lane, but then the problem is with that, because Rare Atom have already banned away 2 supports in the second round, they're basically saying, okay, if we just lock in a super strong laning bot lane, which the Annie can't really deal with, what do you have left in your champion pool in support lane to support an Aphelios, which is already a bit of a niche AD carry in terms of the
I wouldn't mind
supports
the
you want to go with.
Thresh here.
Thresh, maybe? Thresh or Nautilus are probably, they're a little okay.
Okay,
but still,
we'll get the Nautilus.
But the Nautilus is going to go in, but I'm just going to say that's another melee champion into the Viego and the Jax. And the thing about something like the Nautilus is that if you die when there's a Viego on the table, Viego is a champion that loves to take your basic abilities, not your ultimates like a Sylas, right? You kind of think of it as kind of the opposite side of the Sylas. Nautilus's base abilities are very, very good, and Nautilus is really easy to kill if you start falling behind. So despite the cannon being good into the top side of the map, if Baolan has a bit of an awkward game, that Nautilus reset could be very important to Rare Atom.
It absolutely could. And I think we have a very stalwart comp from Ultra Prime here, at least when you're looking at engages and setup around team fights, especially the Kennen coming from the top side. But definitely looking at early game for Lien. The Viegos I know and love need to get gold early, need to find a little bit of priority from their lanes to utilize. And I think that's the biggest question right now is what do Lien and Ning look like in the first game of this series?
You're going to have to remind me of this because we've seen a lot of different Viego builds over the years. I seem to remember there being a kind of amateur NA player that would play Prowler's Claw Viego and just one-shot people with like Prowler's Claw Essence Reaver. You're going to have to remind me because I feel like you know about this more than me.
I feel like I do, but I'm blanking right now. I don't want to just go ahead and say a name thinking I'm completely right when I'm not. But I do want to see if we get
completely threw you under the bus. You know, I like to give you just pop quiz, just spot test on the spot. I mean, we're not going to see that kind of build today. It's just like a funny memory of that. We're not. There is the chance we see the Kraken Slayer. We've been seeing some of that pop up across the world and, of course, in the LPL as well. The region on your screen, of course. You are trying to survive through that cannon burst, though. Can be a little bit important to go towards something with a bit more HP. Something like a Divine Sunder, of course, has been the go-to item for this champion for a very long time.
I got a very important thing to look at here as we hear the gyros going in. Does Southwind have the IG skin? And is he just mental gaming right now? We'll find out very quickly, I'm sure. I actually didn't check it. We had that loaded and everything. Hopefully we get it.
That's a great point. You know, I just had completely blanked on that. That would be next level.
I was like, yeah. It's cool. Come on. I know we don't have control where the observers want to go, but we'll get the addition eventually.
We will see it at some point. You know, just gotta have a little patience there, friend. We are going to see that Southwind dropped a ward in this top lane brush. We can see it there, Harry walking up. We see this an awful lot from supports and junglers when you have a ranged versus a melee matchup. The melee side of the matchup would typically have one person walk up there, drop a ward down into that brush. So something like the cannon, or I guess we saw a Quinn this split as well. There are a couple of ranged top laners which can really do that early.
Didn't take it.
Okay, all right. Sad times, but hey, maybe Southwind can make up for it in his play. But still, that ward in the top lane brush can help the Jack set in the matchup fairly large amounts early.
Yeah, I mean, at least Assume and him are on the same kind of version of skins, though. That duo power, Southwood coming in, that might be the different thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was saying, I've got a couple of friends who really like to play the Zero account together, and you can tell whether they're having a good day or a bad day or not, whether they pick the same kind of skins. You can tell a lot about the mentality of the duo. It's like, hey, don't talk to me, support, picks a different skin.
And then you can tell their moods by the skin they choose, right? You get like a dark skin for Rakan, he's angry.
I really like playing the Elderwood Zaya. I play a lot of Zaya. I really like the Elderwood skin, but particularly like the dark chroma of it. It kind of reminds me it's kind of the closest thing you get to Coven for Zaya right now, and I'm a big fan of that skin line.
Yeah, Coven skin is pretty sick. We do see kind of upside stop, though.
Yeah, we are seeing pretty high kill pressure mid-jungle from both of these teams. Leon, very important for him that he has the kind of this setup of the mid laner from the Gragas as well. Gragas is a champion that can kind of deal with the Annie in the 2v2. You don't necessarily threaten all the time, of course, when you have the cast, because Annie doesn't exactly have an ability in her basic abilities. You can kind of force her back, force out the flash, and then you can kind of stop, hunting people around into something like the alley-oop, into the, kind of knock them back into the stuns of the Viego. However, on the other side, if you don't finish off a kill early, if Wukong gets into the play, very high damage coming in from the mid-jungle 2v2 of Ultra Prime as well. So I'm glad that you immediately went towards that jungle matchup. Does seem to be that is going to be sticking point here for both these drafts.
Yeah, at least. And again, I still really want to see Lien be very proactive. Q, that's a little bit of extra damage maybe you didn't want to take, as Ning wants to punish a little bit of that mistake, I guess, from Q.
Sees him in River. You okay there, friend? It is okay. Cool. Just leap strike out. That's what he was doing. So he's using his HP as a resource, trying to push in that wave, make sure it's crashing, because Leon was on that top side of the map as well to take that scuttle. Maybe under a little bit of threat, but not able to punish, despite him having a pretty good track record of, despite not being able to necessarily have the team fight impact, we might want to see from some of our junglers. He's had the early impact, at least, down low.
Yeah, I've loved this a lot, though, already. Seeing some movement from Balan, hooking up with his world champion teammate, at least. But it is this Nautilus that we need to see getting out on the roam, right? Doggo should be just fine down there, and you need to see some of that responsiveness come out from Ultra Prime, while Lien was actually hovering over bot side. And Ning will complete this back. eventually.
You will. Not before spotting out Leon on Krugs on that bot side of the map. We
He's
are
headed
seeing
right
the
back to
double
the spot
longsword.
side.
Yeah, he is, because he's got his Gromp up and available. It's the one camp left for him, and actually at this point, interested to see what happens to the wave state of that bot lane, because there's a chance that you can kind of look to flash beyond the wave with that Nautilus. Very easy setup, of course. Not like you've got something like Desire Ultimate just yet to disengage that play. However, when you have mid lane priority down, and it's going to push into your turret, it makes it much harder to make plays on these side lanes, particularly when someone like that Gragas can shove and roam fairly early, despite not having his ultimate. I don't really want to chance Strive getting to a play first.
Yeah. I'm really kind of trying to keep an eye on the priority in lanes as well, because if Lien can get an early dragon, that helps RA, at least in the stacking department. He will not be spotted out on this roam down towards bottom side. Maybe looking for a gank. Doggo steps up, and that's a flash already burned.
Oh, that's a long range choke.
So Paulette did not want that dredge line, and that's a flash right out. Inferno able to put back a little bit of damage into RA.
It's a quick throwback to saying, this Nautilus picked in. Wow, it's good for the laning phase, but what happens when you start to put that Viego into the equation? This is a little bit of a snapshot of what we might see later in the game if Baolan isn't on point with his engages. That's a hook you didn't really want to land. If that goes badly the next time, maybe you're giving a reset over to Lian, who, this Viego has plenty of options now to play on the spot side without those flashes missing.
Yeah, that's the biggest conversation now. Does he just kind of try to revisit this after a top to bot side clear with Strive moving out as well? Some definite vision game played around this river on the bottom side. But, capitalization will need to be there from RA, and you'll love to see that early movement. Both supports now, though, Baolan and Southwind on the roam.
80 carries resetting means that the support's no longer on babysitting GT. The 2v2 for the next minute.
They're
free!
Get
a night off.
What do they do with the night off?
It's date
go say
night.
hi to their friends.
Yeah, they're going on date night. The mid lane is where they're choose to start their festivities. However,
It's like
has been
a
spotted.
3-person date versus a 2-person date.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit strange. Not really sure. Getting a bit sitcom-like.
I'm glad I got a broke.
Maybe it's like I can't. You know those kind of like those sitcoms where like someone's like double booked a date and then they have to like go into the bathroom. They go, say, "Oh, just gotta go to the toilet," and they go run up to another table and say, "I don't know."
Yes, that's where you try and stagger the times. 2 restaurants next door to each other. But
Yeah.
right now, RA are at a particular restaurant, and it's a bit of a fiery one. As Infernal Dragon #1 should go down unless Ning wants to try to contest it. Here comes Ultra Prime. Ning's in the pit. He does not get the dragon. He's a little bit low now as well. And here comes the Heartbreaker. Ning getting so low, but Lian can't do it. The chakrams are starting to shack up for Doggo. And here you go. First blood for Ultra Prime. He goes down immediately after to assume. And Baolan has overextended himself, believing in what Doggo was putting out. But it's 2 quick kills given back to RA.
Could have been so much worse for Ultra Prime. Thought that the first reset was going to come through, but couldn't quite finish off the kill. Onto Ning as he ran away from the play from Ultra Prime. Rare Atom, pick up the dragon, pick up 2 kills. That's gold onto the Xayah. That's gold also in forms of assists onto that Viego as well, which we said would be a real threat for Rare Atom as things go on. But immediately...
I just feel like they didn't need to fight this.
No, they absolutely did. Baolan just hooked to the wall, and I understand that Nautilus, when you get a hook to a wall, it does reduce that cooldown. Big breaking point for this, of course, is that Ning doesn't end up dying. You get that reset, particularly at this point in the game, getting another set of basic abilities to stack through, and with the recent buffs to Viego's ultimate as well, having a lot of base damage increased in terms of the execute damage. Very, very important to make sure that Viego doesn't start resetting.
That is the key factor that Ultra Prime want to try to stick away from. Now having kills on Strive and Assume, and then a little bit more gold in the lane. We'll see if that actually does end out in anything. The biggest factor now, though, is looking at the next steps for Lien. We have a Rift Herald on the board, and it's actually Ning who's already starting it up.
Neither of your lanes are there, buddy. Might just be looking for an isolated 1v1, but Forge Harry would have their options to go towards the Herald a little earlier. Strive does have ultimate. He did want to make a pick-off play for after this Herald. But at least Ultra Prime get to trade back in some of those objectives. Go back to a replay. What happened here? What are we looking at? Picture in picture. Oh, that's why Jax isn't in lane. That's why. I was just wondering if we just kind of got a reset timing. Oh, a little bit more than that. That's why Jax doesn't have ultimate as well. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Luckily, cooldown's going to be coming up soon. Oh, Doggo's in trouble under, but that's the Gravita Moonlight Vigil. There's the Feather Storm to make sure Assume gets the kill. And RA with a dive in a 2v2.
Oh, Doggo, his most played champion, bailed them out of that last fight for what he could. Can't save himself under that turret. Didn't have the cleanse.
Too.
He had flash, but I mean, Southland hit that level 6. If you don't have that cleanse, you can't flash away while in the duration of that CC. Not sure what exactly happened after the point. I assume it was just a very heavy CC chain, but Doggo not able to.
You would assume that, huh?
So have that one.
Assume.
Yeah, I know. You know, I made this. Look, okay, we have to gear on the same page here because we did this for. It's week 9.
We did it all the time.
We've done this.
That's the thing when you make us cast RA 2 days, like within 3 days, you know this
wow,
happens, okay?
We're really going through the material here. Okay, look, if we're getting to this point, you know what, this is going to be a complete heel turn. As we have Aphelios, I'm going to let you into a little secret. The way that I remember what different Aphelios ultimates do is that I give them funny little names. The Gravitative ult, I call the Moonlight Vigil there the Moonlight Varus, because it's basically the same thing. The other one he's got right there is the Mega Infernum Bomb, which is one of my favorites. I'm accepting. This is great. I'll tell you exactly what it does. I'm accepting applications for the crescendo mode, the chakrams, because the closest thing I could get to is like Ranger's A-Focus, like the Ash Q, but it just doesn't sound good enough. So if anyone has any like advances on that, at me, let me know, because I need
about
to
stacking chakrams, because you get 4 for every person.
Okay,
you
but
hit.
I'm trying to relate it to like another champion in League, just because it's funny. And you know, it tickles my brain a little bit in a good way, I hope.
Ning, you have no vision here, and Ning trying to get out that cask. It's not enough. The Heartbreaker comes through. He actually gets away. Here comes the engage, though, from Southwind, trying to get Balan now. He is level 6, but Forge can't put in the damage. The exhaust comes through, and RA get another kill. There's a reset, and the soul of Balan is now Luyen.
Oh, man, that one is a bit of a heartbreaker for Ultra Prime. Definitely was for Luyen, of course, his ultimate threatening the resets across that. The only reason, again, that doesn't go even worse is because Ning just about gets out again on a sliver of HP. Ultra Prime are really playing with fire by not being able to play around something like this Cannon pushing in the lane, something like this Annie when they managed to get moments of priority as well. Rare Atom, it's felt like they've had the pick of all the plays they wanted to do because Ultra Prime, they haven't really managed to play around their pushing lane. At least they're going to have the Herald dropped in this top side. It's a moment of brightness for them.
It is the CS lead and all the eggs in the hairy basket in this top side of the map for Ultra Prime. Hopefully getting some more of these plates over and Kennen becoming a factor for Ultra Prime will be on the table. Hopefully.
Maybe. You also did mention the fact that you can make team fighting play, and we know that this... Oh,
they're going for the tower here. Just a little bit of extra damage from the turrets. As that should just be a second dragon going over to RA.
So, not to revisit the last topic, but you'll realize that Doggo has himself that Severin. He passed that ultimate. My name for that one. I relate that one to Vladimir. That's the emo plague.
Oh my god.
Which is that's a particular favorite of mine. But they're not going to commit towards this bot side of the map. Dragon goes down before they're in position to do so. Rare Atom managing to control some of that bot lane, bot side vision. And the fact that Assume and Southland can go for these aggressive trades under tower really kind of puts Ultra Prime in a difficult position. Earlier in the game, we're seeing Nautilus roaming about. Trying to do that now. The last time, of course, he went into the bot lane jungle, died for it. We talked about how Nautilus... Yeah, it's not really what you want, particularly with the Nautilus as well, being a champion which can give a very valuable reset over to Viego. When you fall behind, bad news for Ultra Prime. So we'll keep an eye on that. Despite the cannon being ahead, Nautilus is behind. That is pretty worrying for Ultra Prime in team fights.
So if we're gonna continue talking about, you know, the Aphelios guns, maybe not the ultis, well, we'll see if Cube actually tries to get a full gank up on Forge. Which gun would you want to have as like a replica in real life?
Oh, that's a good question. I think Calibrum looks really slick, because I was a massive fan of the Halo series, and actually a lot of the way the curves of that run reminds me a little bit of the old Energy Sword, which I was a big fan of.
Okay.
Step and Razor, that was one of the older achievements for that weapon. I enjoyed Halo. But Weapon of the Faithful is not here for the top side of the map. Harry has flash, has ult. What do we do
He
here?
has Slicing Maelstrom. He could pop it on the tower here. He does get the stuns down, and Harry with the flash. They're just trying to commit here. And nice tank up the tower from RA will get them yet another kill.
Welcome to the circus. Speciality in juggling this time for Rare Atom. They get themselves that tower aggro juggle pretty down on lock. Nig is going to get here unseen.
I don't think there's a way for him to get the angle
from this.
Oh, greedy back.
He's found him.
Greedy back.
How close is this going to be?
There it is, and Cube getting the counter strike, but can't hit it, and Ning cleans one up. That should be the second kill for Ultra Prime.
Yeah. Ning is not a fan of cubism, prefers other art forms, and takes him down. And this Jax, despite getting that one kill, despite getting a little bit of gold on that top side, is not the same kind of power that we expect from Cube's Jax. Does get that kill, but Harry has been dealing really well with him in the individual lane.
Yeah.
That kind of lead makes it very hard to dive this cannon. It gets close, it gets really close. Harry, great flash to make sure he doesn't take all of the damage, but...
Strive missed like everything. That feels so bad.
I was so focused on what the cannon was doing. I was like,
I know.
Strive
It's
and then
the
I just,
Beyblade.
it's like, you know how you can kind of subconsciously protect your own mind. I feel like I was doing that with that. I'm trying to protect this Herald though as Ultra Prime.
Yeah, I don't know if they can do
They have
that.
an engage option. Forge, stacking up that passive, making him get a big tibbers. That's what you're looking
You got
for.
a shot from
Doggo, long-range
Calvin
weapons
combo
as well.
here. There's the engage from Southwind. Quickness on a Doggo. He uses his cleanse, but Forge is almost down. Cube has found Ning on the other side, though, and it's Baolan that falls first again. Assume finds one. Here comes Doggo, though, and he's got those chakram stacked, but Assume takes him down. A triple kill for RA's ADC, and it's just the chase down that's all left. An ace for Rare Atom.
And out of nowhere, Rare Atom explode the map. They explode around that Herald. And despite the objective not being taken, they will very much take the kills which go with it. Don't even know who to highlight that. Assume getting the feather callback, huge counterplay onto Doggo. It felt like that Aphelios was going to take over, but as you were saying, so many other important moments in this. You can see that the first kill onto Baolan, very important that Nautilus being so far behind makes him such a target. And then Cube cleaning up in the back end as well. Despite kind of struggling in the 1v1 lane, Cube's Jax was just kind of calling it out as to not really having the most value so far. Had a great time in this fight. That pullback. Huge damage onto Doggo to stop him running away with the fight.
Yeah, really, really good stuff from RA, especially the cap position. I like the aggression that Ultra Prime witnessed a little bit of, especially Doggo getting that flash over the wall, but in the end, it is really just a great play from RA to collapse, and Southwind pulling the trigger. And that was some of that conversation we were talking about coming in, was what does Southwind bring to the table here? We've had changes from both sides, and that engage, some of that shot calling maybe coming to light now.
Yeah, particularly with their last few series, looking like their engage as being a real point of pain for Rare Atom. That's a good side for them. Strive heading towards this top side. Leon's up there too. He's just completed his Sunder. Got a Rod of Ages there for the Gragas as well. However, Strive and Leon preferring to go towards this Herald instead. Of course, that wasn't killed in the actual fight. Rare Atom, with that one fight, have positioning on that side of the map to take that one down. Does mean that they're not going to be in position to potentially fight for a Dragon, which is spawning in 10 seconds. South, they're not going to get hooked in. Minion instead, that's going to do that. Might be up for round 2. Quick succession. This time around the Man Dragon.
Rift Herald is there for Loyen. He will immediately just pop in mid lane with 4 bodies here as well. You got the side lane push from Cube. He does have TP unleashed. Can join the fight. The Dragon started up for Ultra Prime. This would be their first Dragon, but Cube's got a heck of a flank once he clears this control ward.
So it's
Gotta watch Harry.
very much in favor of Ultra Prime. Forge doesn't have
Harry.
flash this time. Here's Southwind.
There you go, engage though. Harry's finding the backline right now. You gotta watch out in the Dragon Pit though. Doggo's trying to get the Inferno damage down. He does do it. Ultra Prime is trying to pick him apart. Assume gets the Feather recall, but it's not enough. Now the Feather Storm was a bit late. It's a bit of a wombo combo now from RA as they take down one by one Ultra Prime again. Cube and Stride, the solo lane carries for Rare Atom.
Oh, Rare Atom team fighting, how we've missed you. Managed to get themselves another 5 kill team fight. This time it's the 3 of their own falling down. And even though it's going to be Leanne falling the first in this time, get the they don't need the smite to secure this objective. Of course, there's no on the other side after this point. Southwind zeroes out the AD carry. Very, very close to killing Doggo right at the start of this fight. They've been a very different
But then
turn of events.
it's stuck in the pit. Cube
Yeah.
is just like, bring it. You're in a cage match with me.
Yeah, and that was what
Harry.
that was the That was the big sense of what we got from the last fight, right? Where it felt like there are multiple points of pressure from Rare Atom in these team fights now, which are getting very difficult for Ultra Prime to deal with. Because if you're actually killing Lien, okay, very important, taking away those resets, we talked about how important that is. But if you are killing him, do you still have the cooldowns to deal with Cube, to deal with Assume? And in that fight, you had enough to deal with 2 of them, but not the third. And now suddenly that third has a hull breaker. Now Kennen can't deal with that Jax in the side lane. You have 3 dragons stacked up for Rare Atom, which means that on the next dragon, that would be Mountain Salt points. I think this hull breaker is actually very intelligent from Cube, because that means is that even if you were to give up a load of dragons after this point, you can play through a side lane win condition, which you didn't previously have. And you have a lot of margin error to play with because of your objective control earlier in the game.
Yeah, and for me as well, Harry just has to be able to sync up in time with RA, right? The flank was definitely spotted out by that control ward, but it was not able to get into the pit, not able to get into the big team fight. That was a big detriment for Ultra Prime. That Maelstrom needs to be there if they're going to have a chance in these team fights, and RA doing a really good job of spotting that out and making sure that won't be the case.
Yeah, they actually had very good vision control. Did Ultra Prime in that last dragon fight, but it wasn't quite enough to capitalize on, as you're saying, in regards to that Kennen being the difference maker. It's not even going to be the easiest game for Harry to have like the game-ending team fights as well, because you have to go through a Xayah ultimate, you have to go through the Gragas cask as well. Lots of ways to make your engage less impactful. But even with that, really need to see what you can do with that. Doggo denying local gold on the inter. So that means it's going to be a little bit of a
it's a little thing.
Fly in the ointment. It's the little things, you know. It's like, oh, you know, you got me something nice. Oh, you denied my inner turret. I mean, that's not really like a nice little.
It's the same thing. Same one-to-one correlation.
It's like, yeah, you really don't want to. If you really want to give me a present, just deny me local gold. I love that for myself.
I don't like that for myself. So please don't do that if you're thinking about giving me a gift.
Yeah.
I don't want that. But RA looking to give a gift to Ultra Prime in their own jungle, because they really don't have anything to go for right now. They're just looking for picks, and they might have found one on the Forge. The newest addition to Ultra Prime will not be punished under his tower.
Will not, but Flash away from Forge, very important. That Flash will not be up for the next dragon fight, won't be up for a big Baron fight. But if they fight now, will it matter?
Assume is here though, Assume is stacking up some feathers. The Blade Call is there. Harry can't get the Maelstrom in now. He gets exhausted, and here comes the Feather Call, and here comes the flank from Cube! There's nothing left on the Rift for Ultra Prime in Game 1. They've lost consecutive fights 3 times in a row, and that's Baron for RA.
Perfect timing as well. Shades of their former form. You do have the Infernal Ultra from Doggo.
Oh, so close.
I saw the Gale push forward, saw the flash, and I was like, that's a lot of members stacked up. That Infernum could have AoE'd over.
Yeah.
They will calm down once more. So wondering what would happen with that
Assume
one.
started to stack up these feathers, though.
Yeah, and it's also just what we were just saying about the Kennen having a bit of a difficult time trying to get good team fights. And there's a big exhaust.
Man.
And
3-man roots, and then Q just comes in with the hammer.
Yeah, that
or the
was
staff.
Absolutely disgusting. And now he's got himself 3 items, so it's going to have even more damage behind it the next time you try out that kind of play. And to add insult to injury, we got just a minute until the Dragon, which potentially ends the game for Ultra Prime, up on the table against them. Be Mountain Salt. You're already struggling enough to get the killer blows from Kennen. Extra shield on top of that definitely does not make things easier, especially when you've got the likes of Bloodthirster and on Xayah. Each point of that shield will be that harder to take away because of the extra resist from the 2 Mountain Dragons on top of that. So, very few options left available for Ultra Prime now. They've tried their hand in their team fighting, no Flash on Annie.
A little bit aggressive from Strive. Southwood's kind of trying to come save the day. They still have Baron for another minute and 40 seconds. They're pushing mid the lane now with Cube. And a tier 2 tower falls for Ultra Prime in bot side. Maybe even an inhib tower now.
Is stacking up against the walls of their base. How much can they realistically do, though?
That is a 95% KP for Southwood. My goodness. Holy cow. What a difference I feel like RA looked like. I mean, we literally just saw them 2 days ago. And honestly, night and day in terms of that decision making. And definitely in a point of power makes that easier.
Ooh, Lien caught out. Doesn't End up falling in that one though. But Rare Adam, actually, throwback to the start of the split. Throwback to this fight. We'll talk about that one later.
They're trying to get the Infernum damage down now. Red-white for Doggo. They do have the nice double knockoff from the Cyclone. They can't get the damage from Doggo into the fight though. There's the Slicing Maelstrom, and Lien is down, but the primary targets aren't. Baolan has fallen, and now so too will Harry. And more kills going to RA. They don't need Lien to finish this game.
No, they don't. First game of the split for Rare Adam was a Viega game for Lien, and they went killless. Now, it's been a long journey for them across spring, but coming into this first game against Ultra Prime, managed to get themselves another Viega game, another fight to end the Nexus.
Trying to hit that cast, can't do it, but it still means that Forge bites the dust. And the Baron buff will be falling off in about 20 seconds, so RA gives the thumbs up and head out of Ultra Prime's base.
Yeah, the threat of Doggo on the Nexus, just enough to save those Nexus turrets, but Rare Adam again.
Bash eyes for Stripe.
I love that, I love that. Get those stacks, baby. Buy the book. Definitely not an address salesman myself. I definitely don't like that item.
Definitely not, definitely not.
Definitely not my favorite item. I think we'll go. Wait, is this legit? He's alone here.
Oh,
he's
but
2 levels up.
He is 8-2 and 11, so you know that makes a little bit of a difference. Harry doesn't have Slicing Maelstrom. Assume it's just trying to have a little bit of fun with it apparently, but it is not gonna work out for him.
What are you doing?
It's a big shutdown to Harry. Maybe just want to give some gold over. I don't even know, but already get this dragon.
The hilarious thing is that it gives them Mountain Soul.
It does. It's the trade that's worth it.
Do not try this at home, folks.
Oh,
Do not try this at home. These are trained professionals performing these stunts.
I don't know if you should give that guy onto these stunts now. Our Ultra Prime trying to pull their own stunts. You do got a TP from Cube. He just finished Wits In, and that means Forge is running away.
Kind of has to at this point, despite the huge
They have to defend their base. Like, they have double super minions coming in now with 2 waves stacked up offside.
They arguably lose the 5 of Mountain Soul.
They're going
He's got Mountain Soul.
They're trying to catch out Cube, but they don't get any damage onto him. And now he's going to the backline. Harry's already gone. And there's the flashes coming out from Ultra Prime. Baolan will go down to a 2nd kill for Lien. And on to the Nexus, RA goes in our first game of the day.
The Hullbreaker, Counter-Strike, Ultimate Mountain Soul. It was way too much defensive ability for Cube. For Ultra Prime to cut through. Now onto the Nexus Towers.
On to the Nexus they go. A little bit of a spark to light up that Branson you were talking about, but it might not be enough to finish it here. They've overextended under the Nexus Towers. They've given Doggo 2 more kills.
Yeah, so about all that whole victory lap thing, I was like, wow, so much defensive ability. Not enough to save them from Doggo, I suppose. Not even at that 3-item mark yet. And Rare Adam, it felt like they'd done all the hard work. Just needed to kind of just dot the I's, cross the T's.
It's when you're really tired at the end of a marathon, when you just like are stumbling the last like 30 feet, you're just like falling all over yourself, like, oh, I'm gonna make it. It's gonna happen.
You do actually, in fact, have to cross the line.
You do have to run through the tape.
No, not again.
They will even cut it for you if you need to.
I assume it's very intent to start playing the solo Q80 carry, which is I actually don't need a team anymore. I've hit my items. Come at me. But last time he did that, of course, I ended up dying pretty unceremoniously over that top side of the map.
Like,
yeah.
Maybe he was hoping for Doggo. He's just pulling the cards. He's like, I'll get one of the 5 people I need.
Bring me my next opponent. Play the pick card. No Twisted Fate involved in that one. Now he is comboed up with his jungle and support around here. He's currently a 5v3 in this mid lane, but with the amount of shielding which Rare Adam have, it is very difficult for Ultra Prime to cut through these members, especially cut through the primary targets, trying to get on top of Desire, who has the ultimate. Of course, doesn't have the cleanse right now, but I think at this point, even with those abilities, those summoners missing, it's just not easy enough, man. Ultra Prime. Ah, it's all on Harry. It's all on Harry and Doggo.
This is red-white coming up for Doggo.
Yeah,
he's going to be out of the white very soon.
Yeah. Just run out of those chakrams. The Sentinel turrets would have been very important to kind of fight back on. Has that Infernum. Cannot get in place though.
Cass got it too. There's the engage signaled by RA. And it's a front to back with the Moonlight Vigil from Doggo doing a decent amount. But Cube has found that entrance to the side. And there's that late slicing Maelstrom. I feel like we've gotten every team fight from Harry. And it does not matter yet again. RA clean house. And game number 1 will be a stop from Rare Adam.
Rarely seen form from Rare Atom in the last few series for them, but revisiting some of their shades of former glory. Gonna take this first game
Lean
in
back,
what feels
Southwind.
Good to have him back on the roster for Rare Atom, especially with a game like that from at Rakan. Some bright signs for Rare Atom. Shame we couldn't see that in the series beforehand, but they'll take it today. They're not, of course, eliminated from that playoffs yet. It would be one heck of an uphill battle, one heck of an unlikely scenario for them. But hey, starts the games like this.
Yep, and really, really impressive stuff from RA. That bounce back we really needed to see from them because, again, they are on a 6-series loss streak. 3 of those